Thanks for joining. I'm so excited for what God's going to do today in your life. Take a moment, get out your pen, your paper, your tablet, your notebook, whatever you use to take notes with, because I know God's going to say something that if you pay attention will transform your life. If you're being blessed by the ministry, don't hesitate to make a donation. Go to www.righteous247.com or download our app in the App Store, Righteous 247. Now prepare your hearts, prepare your mind, get to a quiet place, because God's about to change your life.
I was reading something where God said, "Don't look back," and and she looked back.
Lot and his wife, okay?
Yeah, and she turned into salt.
Right.
So, like, how do you
Believe she
deal
turned
with
into salt.
certain stories that seem like it's not really possible?
I think when we think of possibility, we think in the realm of what we're able to do, what we know to be able to be done. There was a time when flying was impossible. I'm trying to walk you through this. There was a time when flying was impossible, according to people. And if someone was to say, yo, we flew to such and such, to someone who was born at a time prior to that, they would probably argue that you're lying because flying is impossible. Okay? So it's impossible at that time, but it's not impossible now. So possibility, from my perspective, is contingent upon the ability of the one I'm determining if it's possible for. Now, if God be God, what can be impossible to him? Okay? So I have to, a lot of times when we approach God as if he needs to prove himself to us, instead of approaching God to figure out how I need to get in line with him. See, because when I read the Bible, it's not for me to approve him, it's for me to figure out how I can become who he needs me to be. And when I'm reading the Bible, I'm trying to understand, God, what are you trying to say to me? Not necessarily, how did you do what you said you did? And what he's saying to me is, trust me. And when I tell you to go forward, don't look backwards, because looking backwards means that you don't trust where I'm taking you. And what I believe was happening in the story of Lot's wife is he didn't want you to look back, because if you look back on what was happening back there, then it can deter you from where I'm trying to take you. It means that you're trying to hold on to the things of the past when I'm destroying that and trying to take you forward. It's not so much about was she a pillar of salt. It's not so much about was it an apple, what is an orange. It's about, God, what are you saying to me, and what is it that you want me to do to become who you called me to be?
If you have a soul tie with someone, and if you do, how do you get rid of it?
How do you identify if you have a soul tie? You know when it's something that you're trying to get away from, when you know it's something that you're trying to break free from, but you really can't shake it. How do I handle it? It comes through prayer and release of that individual. I have to pray that God give me deliverance from the situation. But my thing, here's the thing with soul ties, with anything that we ask God for. What's the reason we're asking God for it, and that we learn from the experience? One of the biggest problems we have when we go to God is we ask God to correct things that we intentionally created wrong, but then we go back and recreate other things in other places. So before I go to God and ask God to fix something, I need to consider, am I really going to him because I want to be right with him and I want him to help me and lead me? Or am I going to him because what I wanted didn't work out right, so I need him to fix it and I can go do me again? And a lot of times we disobey God intentionally, land in a mess, then go back to God. He's gracious and forgiving, but we didn't grow and we didn't learn from him being right the last time. We just want him to fix what we messed up. And we treat him like a genie in a bottle instead of a God. It's more like, how can I manipulate you for what I want, instead of how can I become who you created and who you died for? That makes sense? So how do you get rid of it? It's you pray about it. You say, God, you really begin to release that thing. You recognize the role you played in it. And you just believe God for deliverance. We can pray about it together. Sometimes we have times where we pray together for things like that and things of that nature. But it's a spiritual thing. And I believe that before you can successfully break your soul tie, you need to understand and have the decision that, God, I'm becoming renewed with you, not just rescued to go back to being me by you.
And then every time you do something wrong, and then you just get into like a depression, and your whole joy for the whole day, for the whole goal is just gone.
That's good. You're going from where you were to where you desire to be. You didn't become who you were in an instant, and you have to work towards becoming who you desire to be, and it won't be in an instant. But every time you see that you're fighting, that's something to be proud of. Because I'm a step closer than I was yesterday, because yesterday I wasn't trying, and today I'm still fighting. And the key to success is, can you fall and get up? See, most of us, we state goals, we set goals, we fall, and we quit. But I taught a lesson about success at one time, and many of the people who are successful had many times that they failed first. But see, I often say that failure is a filter to keep the unworthy person out of success. Can I say it again? Failure is the filter to keep the unworthy person out of success. If success was easy, everybody would attain it. But when you can go through some failures, it proves you want it enough, and it shapes you to be able to maintain it. When I get something I want too quick, I don't become who I need to be to keep it. See, when I can go through obstacle, when I can fight when it's hard, I'm creating value for what I'm attaining. Follow what I'm saying?
So I used to be really on fire for God, and it feels like as I grew up, that fire died.
Died down, yep.
So my question is, how do I get that fire back, and how do I fight the thoughts of like the enemy constantly trying to tell me, well, you're constantly trying to talk to God, and at this point you should just stop.
When you're a young child, you just trust. Like when your mama say do something, when your dad say do something, if you have that relationship with them, you trust them because you're dependent upon them. You follow me? You're not depending on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord, lean on to that own understanding. You're in that position at that age. And at that age, God can mold me, shape me, lead me. He has full access to me because I'm not tainted by the opinions of the world, the thoughts of the world, my logic, my reason, my flesh. Those things are less influential in my life at a younger age. As you got older, you became exposed to new things. You became exposed to new thoughts. You begin to now maybe even question what you believed before, which you have a right to do. But when I begin to pull back on my trust and my dependence on God, then I pull back on my ability to have the same fire for God. See what I'm saying? So it's amazing how I could be young and have more fire than one that's old, because the fire of God is not in the age, it's in the dependency and the trust. Follow what I'm saying? So how do you fight the enemy? Well, the enemy's job is to attack you and make you feel like you cannot get the relationship with God. But the ability of God to do what he wants to do in my life is contingent upon my ability to trust on him and lean on him regardless of what I see. Does that make sense? Regardless of how much sense what I may think makes compared to what he says, it is my job, if I want his way, to lean on what he says over how I feel.
How do I let go of my doubt to be able to, because I was a kid, I trusted him. But now I trust me, because I'm like, I've been on my educational journey.
Right.
I fell a little bit, got back up. But it's like, how do I keep getting up? How do I let go of my doubt to keep getting?
You're looking for the doubt to leave when you have to understand that. And you said I trusted my intellectual ability. Well, that's where the first problem is. If you have all you need, then he can challenge your ability. But if you say God has equipped me, but I'm trusting and dependent upon God to guide me and his favor that's on me, then now whatever the enemy has to say can't block it, because he can't block God. For example, there are people with plenty ability but no success. It takes more for success than mere ability. Some people, they have good connections, they meet the right person, they're in the right place at the right time, but you're not depending upon luck or chance. You specifically want God to put favor on you to take you to where you believe he's called you. So I'm trusting in to do my best in my intellectual ability, but I'm trusting on God's favor to get me where I need to go. So how do I get past the doubt? I go despite, because I know that whatever I doubt, God fixes. Because the Bible says, in my weakness, his strength is made perfect. So when the enemy tries to tell you why you shouldn't, you could tell him why God is. You feel me? Because even the Bible, he says, Paul says, so I boast in my weakness, because it's in my weakness that his strength is made perfect. But you can only do that if you're dependent upon him. If you're dependent upon you, you got to be perfect before you go. That's a lot of our problem. We do things and we claim it's for God, but we really dependent upon ourselves to accomplish it. So once the enemy shows us why we shouldn't, we stop. Because we were always depending upon us. But when I shift to the one who can fix, or who is the strength where I'm weak, then even though that's a good reason why I probably would have struggled, I wouldn't make it, I know that God can make it work for me if I'm dependent on him. Does that make sense?
My mom is like a very powerful, she's an
Intercessor.
evangelist or whatever. And I was like really focused on God, and I was always going to church and stuff. And that was in the summer when I was living with her. But then I came back to school, and it's like I'm still focused on God, but like it's like the environment is shifting my focus, as I would say. And I want to, like, this is something that I strive to do, and I feel bad for myself, and I'm like beating up on myself all the time because I'm not as into God as I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I want like that focus back, and I want that drive back that I had.
What I kind of hear is that there are some things that you added that didn't fit the reality you desired. So now it's hard for them both to coexist. Because and it's not have to be bad, but to put my attention in another area takes away from the attention I can give to this area. You see what I'm saying? And I need to be, I need to be cautious of what I add to my life, because some things I add cost me some things I had. Can I say this again? Some things I add will cost me some things I had. And that's okay if I don't want what I had, but if there's some things I had that I want, I got to be careful what I add. And some of us only add what we see without considering what is it going to do to who we've been.